שבת שלום, מועדים לשמחה. I hope everybody had a chance to dwell in the Sukkah, even if for a short time, but experience the beauty of this holiday of Sukkot. Got in touch with a little bit of the elements from nature with which we express our gratitude and with which, or through which we pray for a year of abundance, the lulav and the etrog. And so as we find ourselves in the middle of the week of Sukkot, we don't begin the service from the very beginning, because the very beginning is a step ladder to get us ready to welcome Shabbat, and we're already in a little bit of a higher place because of the Chag, because of Sukkot. And so we are going to begin on page 21.
Page 319.
I'm sorry?
319.
Right, we're going to sing Vina Metzah before, which is part of Hallel. Page 319.
Middle of the page, and you have the transliteration on the left side. Min hametzar karatia anani v'mechavya min hametzar karatia anani v'mechavya min hametzar
page 21, I invite you to rise, sing Mizmor LeDavid.
Mizmor LeDavid,
Adonai Benelim, שמו השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש כל העולם על המים והכבוד הרים אדוני על מים רבים כל העולם כל אדוני והנאי כל אדוני שובר ארצי וישבר אדוני את הזרע הלבנון כמו עגל לבנון וציון כמו בראתי כל אדוני קוצר הבוקר יחיל אדוני מבקדש ויאסוף ידעו ובהיכלו כולו עומק עמוק אדוני למנו ישע וישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני לעמוי ואדוני יברך את האור בשלום איי 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 דינינה איי 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 דינינה איי 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 דינינה Chadodi on page 23. Hoy שמור וזכור השמיענו אדוני אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה וחדותי לקראת כלה שבת נקרבה לקראת שבת ונראה
ולא תקרבי מתיש תשמחתי ומטרי בלב יחסו אני ובי בנתה יראתי לה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת לקבלה שוסעים ורחקו ולגלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסוס קטן קטן קלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת לקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי את אדוני תעריצי על ידי ופרצי ונשמחה ונעדילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת לקבלה בשלום, עטרת פרה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני הסגולה, מוהים הרע, שבת המלכה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת
May be seated. מזמור שיר ליום השבת on page 27.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, תאמר הודות אדוני.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, ולזמר לשמך העליון.
להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות.
לעזור ועלה עלי היגיון. מה נגלו מעשיך למען המקום אשר אותך ישבע לא ירצנו. בשם אדם עליה כלנו.
צדיק כתמר יפרח, כעז בלבנון ישגה.
שתולי בבית אדוני, וחצות אלוהינו יפריחו.
הון ורובון בשפה, דשנים רעננים יהיו.
להגיד ישר צורי ולא אהבת כבוד. אדוני מלך גאות לבש.
Page 29.
מקולות מים רבים, אדירים משבר ים.
הטבע מרום אדוני, עדותיך נמנו מאוד.
לביתך נאוה קודש אדוני לאורך ימים.
ביתך נאוה קודש אדוני לאורך ימים. One of the central messages of the Chag, or the holiday of Sukkot, of this whole week, in which we are asked to spend a lot of time in the Sukkah, to eat our meals in the Sukkah. If possible, to spend time studying in the Sukkah. Some people sleep in the Sukkah. In fact, we are asked to leave the comfort and the security of our homes so that we can move to the vulnerability of the Sukkah. And the message is that by making that transition from home and all the things that we feel give us safety and security, our furniture, the strength of the walls of our home, our wealth, our power, we move to a Sukkah with a very vulnerable and fragile schach, a ceiling made of branches that is permeable to the weather, to the cold, to the heat, to the wind. And we have to internalize by moving for 1 week into the Sukkah that our lives are indeed fragile, but that we should not put our security, our hope, our faith in that which is material in our lives, because that is also fragile. We have the illusion that those things give us a solid ground upon which to stand, but these things come and go, and there's nothing as strong as faith and community and all the other things that are immaterial, but upon which we can stand and feel strong. It's counterintuitive. But the Sukkah this year, and in particular this week, I would suggest after what we have witnessed in the last couple of days in the scandalous testimony in the Senate yesterday and today, we realize that it's not just about the fragility of our individual lives, but we're talking about the fragility of the democracy in which we live, and the fragility and vulnerability of the institutions which have been the pride of this nation, which has been admired all around the world and looked up to, and which now has become or is becoming a laughingstock for the nations. This scandal that we witnessed in the last couple of days, which basically privileged the testimony, the dubious testimony, of a white male in a Senate made mostly by males, over the testimony of a victim of sexual assault who was heard but then dismissed to privilege him without any proofs in his defense, or certainly no solid proofs in his defense. And the message that is sent to this nation, that for the sake of political expediency, for scoring political points, for passing an agenda, in this case, a right-wing agenda, anything is valid, including dismissing the moral and spiritual foundations upon which the institutions and this country indeed rest. It's no less than a scandal, and it's no less than a proof of the message of Sukkot, which is that everything is fragile and we have to be careful, that we have to put back our faith in morality, in spirituality, in God. And invariably, when Felicia and I speak about these things, somebody at the exit will say, "How dare you speak about politics?" And there will be someone tonight who may say to us, "How do you dare speak about politics?" There are politics and there are politics. There are politics which rest on nothing, on moral vacuity. And there are politics that rest on moral and spiritual foundations. That's what we're talking about the moral foundations of our country's politics. And the message that is sent, in particular to women and to men who have been victims of sexual assault and harassment. And we know now, because in the past year, it's come out to the light more and more, the message that is sent that their experience is devalued and dismissed. And the message to the kids who were growing up in this country, the young men and the young women, about what it means to come forward and to take the courage to come forward and confront their aggressor and confront the structures in society which make for that possible. And so I want to put it so it's clear. I want to put it in moral terms, because this is not about politics, it's about morality. It is expressed and embodied in the politics of our country, or not embodied in the politics of our country. And so I want to put it in the words of Abraham Joshua Heschel. We live in an age when most of us have ceased to be shocked by the increasing breakdown in moral inhibitions. The decay of conscience fills the air with a pungent smell. Good and evil, which were once as distinguishable as day and night, have become a blurred mist. But that mist is man-made. And I would have said human-made, but I want to leave it in the original. It's man-made. God is not silent. God has been silenced. And so we have to recover, I think, as we go into the Sukkah for the rest of this holiday of Sukkot, a sense of the urgency and a sense of the deep vulnerability of our democracy and of our institutions. God help us, but God has been silenced. And so now we just have to help ourselves. And I pray that we will be able to save ourselves.
Please rise, Baruch, page 39A.
את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Be seated. We continue the brachot before the Shema in the middle of the page. Baruch atah Adonai.
ברוך אתה אדוני מלך העולם אשר בדברו, מה פותח השם וכמונה משנה תמר וכזה מניס. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הערבי.
Page 40.
נשמח בדברי תורתך.
כי הם חיינו יאורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם בלילה ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 43A. Pray for redemption, page 44. מלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה מרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם נפעמוך האלים
Page 45.
לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ועל ירושלים ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית תורה בני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ היום השביעי
ויתגדל ויתקדש מרבה בעלמא דיברה וימליך מלכותך
ויכונו ביום נכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל
ובזמן קריב
ויאמרו אמן יש מרבה מברך לעולם עולם הראיה יתברך
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה
קדוש נחתה נחמתה דמי על נעמה
ואמרו
We face your Yerushalayim for the silent army, which begins on page 47. Please be sure to make the addition of Ya'aneh v'Yavo on Sukkot, which is on page 50.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ.
מגן אבות בדברו וחיים מתים במאמרו, היד הקדוש שאין כמוהו.
מניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו, כי בה רצה להניח להם.
לפניו נעבור ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד.
און הברכות אל ההודעות אדון השלום, מקדש השבת, מברך שביעי, מניח בקדושה,
לעמת יושני אורץ,
זכר מעשה בראשית.
ולא אבותינו ואמותינו נצאנה ממנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך ושמחנו בתורתה, שבנו מטובך ושמח נפשנו בישועתה, וטהר ליבנו,
וטהר ליבנו, וטהר ליבנו, לעומק ואמת, וטהר ליבנו, וטהר ליבנו, וטהר ליבנו, לעומק ואמת. עיני ירדני, 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 והנגידנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון, שבת קודשך, שבת קודשך, והנגידנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון, שבת קודשך, שבת קודשך, לי 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 לי
מקדש שמך ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen. Kaddish and then page 54.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
העלמד יברח בלתי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואימרו.
אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך,
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה לשם וקודשה וכל אלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תוש וכתב ורחימתה מרים ולמה ואמרו אמן.
תתקבל צלו טובה ודון לכל ישראל קודם, אמן ושמיה ואמרו אמן.
יהי שלום רב בית שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל יאמרו
אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו
We'll be making Kiddush in the Sukkah. Everyone will be invited to make it to the sixth floor in the community house, and so we're going to invite the children up for a blessing now. I just want to say also, it's not always comfortable to recognize that children can't always keep quiet. And we're really working hard to be all together in community, and that's not always a perfect match. And so we have a little corner in the back, if you haven't noticed. that has toys and books, and so that our children can feel comfortable in our sanctuary, which doesn't mean that they always behave the way we would like them to, and we're trying also to teach them to learn how to be in the sanctuary, but if they're not here, they won't learn. So I invite all of us to stretch. They're going to have to stretch to learn how to be here, and we're going to have to stretch to learn how to pray with a little noise in our back. And hold us all together. Part of what our society is having trouble to do is to be with people who are not behaving the same way as we are. And polarization occurs in many ways, and it also occurs in community for these very reasons. So there's a reason why we're putting them under the talit every service, is so that they feel at home here. We want them at home here, and we should all be at home with them. This is the future of our community. And we want to love them, and we want them to love all of us. And we want them to love being in this sanctuary. So it will take some time for all of us to get used to that. But let's be patient with each other to find that way.
המלאך הגואל אותי מכל רע, יברך את הנערים, ויקרב בהם שמי. בשם אבותיי, בשם אבותיי, אברהם ויצחק, ויתגוררו בקרב הארץ.
We're pretty girl heavy under the talit, so we'll go with the girls first. Yisimech
Elohim,
Elohim,
Kesara,
Kesara, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. For the boys, Yisimcha Elohim, Ephraim, with Manasseh together.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha,
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. Amen.
There was a pre-neg for families in the sukkah, which is why there was a big rush, particularly in the beginning. Aleinu, page 56.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל,
לתת גדולה יוצר בראשית,
שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים
לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויסוד הארץ, מושב יקר בשמיים ממעץ מהתזור לגורים מרמים. הוא אלוהינו אינו נותן במלכנו זולתות, כתוב בתורה וישועתה לברכם. וידעת וישועתה לברכם ומאי בשביל. כן נקבלת ותעושה להעביר גילולים מן הארץ, תקין ובמקומות שדי וכל בני מסע לקרוא לך. כאילו הביאו אותו לפני תבל כדחת תכה כל אחד. תמלוך עלינו לבית כמלכות שלך יהיו לנו.
כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ.
ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Those in mourning or marking a yard site are invited to remain standing for Mourners Kaddish, page 58. Yitzkadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'vizman kariv v'yamru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah barach ve'olam omeh omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalel shmei d'kudashah b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yamru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yamru
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'romav kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yamru.
Amen.
May be seated. Shabbat shalom to everyone.
Shalom.
Moadim l'simcha.
חגים וזמנים לששון.
It's the challenging response in the tradition. Chagim uzmanin lesason is what you say in response. We want to offer our condolences to Gail Reagan's husband and her entire family on the death of her mother, Bernice Reagan. We want to wish a mazal tov to Susie Kessler and Peter Griffin and their entire clan on the birth of their grandson, Gabriel Matan Geffen Bookman. We also want to say a yesher koach and a todah rabah to the Bikor Cholim Committee and the Economic Justice Chevra for serving as our Friday night greeters. We're having different committees and parts of our community be the greeters as we walk in. So if you are part of a group that would like to do that, please be in touch with Shuli after Shabbat or the holiday. Next week, we will switch services to 6:15. You might have members received an email to say that we're pushing services up, not only because the darkness is arriving earlier, but also to make it conducive to people to host Shabbat dinners more in their home, and for us to have more comfortable timing dinners here. And so there was an email that went out this past week about pay it forward dinners, about a number of dinners that are taking place for different parts of the community. So if you go to one, that you have to do it yourself and invite people the next time. And there will be a Shabbat Chavarot, which will take place throughout the course of Shabbat. Different people are hosting those, and we really want to encourage a culture of meals and connection in small and large ways. And tonight, there's a beautiful potluck dinner in the Sukkah with Rabbi Aaron Glazer. And so for those who are participating in the dinner, we're actually going to ask you to stay here for a little bit. It's crowded in the Sukkah and the elevators don't move particularly quickly. So we want everyone who's just going to the Sukkah for Kiddush to make their way directly to the Sukkah. It's on the 6th floor if you're able to make a hike and have a Stairmaster experience on Friday night. You can go up the stairs to the 6th floor. The elevators will also take us up to the 6th floor, and then in about 10 minutes, the rest of you who are going to be joining for the potluck will go together up to the potluck. Once Kiddush concludes, you can pick up your potluck dishes in the middle room and proceed to the Sukkah, where we will make Kiddush as part of the meal. Tomorrow morning, services are at 9:30, and we have 2 baby namings and 3 aufrufs, so it should be a beautiful Shabbat, including, of course, Shabbat Chol Hamoed Sukkot. And after Kiddush tomorrow, we're actually not chanting Kohelet, Ecclesiastes in the middle of the service, as is traditionally done. We're actually taking out of the service and having after Kiddush a Kohelet Kawali, which is like Sufi devotional music, kind of an intertwining. So it will be a chanting of selections of Kohelet with also chanting of Kawali music and with Indian musicians, which will be beautiful. Do you want to say a word, or is that good?
Yeah, hopefully it'll be beautiful. No, I'm sure it'll be beautiful.
I'm assuming it will be beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, we're not using Sufi verses. We're using only verses from Kohelet. We're just using, like Felicia said, we're using this mechanism of call and response. We're going to chant Kohelet as is, and then we're going to use some of the verses to chant. So it's going to be very interactive. So join us.
Beautiful. And Simchat, Sunday morning is Hoshana Rabbah. If you've never, it's the end of Sukkot and the kind of the seal of Yamim Noraim. You can still ask for tshuva before that. It's really when the holiday Yamim Noraim concludes. Beautiful opportunity to come together and do all the Hoshanot around with lulav and etrog, and have a l'chaim to this awesome season. If you've never been, given also that it's a Sunday, come. It starts at 9:30, goes till about 11:30, and then we have a nice brunch in the Sukkah if it's nice out. So join us there, and then Shmini Atzeret services at 6:30 Sunday evening, 9:30 with East Core on Monday morning, and then Simchat Torah 5:30 the family service, and 7:30 the general service. We hope everyone will be a part of this beautiful rejoicing and ending the Torah and beginning again on Tuesday morning, where we're honoring our Gabbai Freddie Goldstein and our staff member Ayala Wasser. There are many classes that will start soon after Simchat Torah, including classes on prayer, Parashat HaShavua, Hasidic stories, rabbinic stories, ways to get into the Siddur, and ethics classes. So please don't miss out. This is just the beginning. And we really hope that this Yamim Noraim and this High Holy Day and marathon that we do as Jews during this period of time will be the launching pad for what will be a deeply connected, learning-filled, prayer-filled, justice-filled year.
One thing. The marathon's also tomorrow night for 20s and 30s. Our Aviv group is meeting for Havdalah, and then sukkah hopping a little around the Upper West Side.
Just want to give a warm welcome to our colleague, Rabbi Delphine Orvier, who is here. She's the rabbi of the liberal Jewish community in Paris, and she has been to BJ for many, many Shabbatot when she was a student here at Hebrew Union College many years ago, and she now is doing what I would say is heroic work in France to hold and uphold liberal Judaism, and also to work to repair the relationship between Jews and Muslims in France, which is very, very tenuous, and also in an atmosphere of very deep anti-Semitism. So Delphine is doing tremendous work there. Welcome.
Finally, I just want to say, many years ago when I was a student, I went to a cage conference. There's no more cage conference, I don't think. I went to a learning session. I don't even remember who the teacher was. She was a Bible, I think, professor at the time. And at the opening, it was around feminism and Torah. And she opened the lecture by saying, if a woman had written the Torah, then it would have been a birthing creation rather than a distinction of creation. And that image always stuck with me, just to imagine how things would be different if someone else was telling the story. And if someone else were writing the rules. And I think for those of us watching things play out this week, the pain of what that feels like to be living in a world where someone else has written the rules is profoundly disturbing, heartbreaking, and agitating. It doesn't mean everyone who wrote the rules was bad or malicious. It just means we're living in a society that has yet to uncover what it means to live in a multi-ethnic democracy that's equal and lets everyone tell their story, where people are not afraid to be who they are, to tell what's happened to them, to be welcomed in their own spaces because they're deserving of being the human beings they are, their bodies being honored, their choices being honored, and their dignity being honored. And we in our own tradition have those same complexities. The Torah is not without its blemishes, and the stories that it tells are also based on certain people's stories and erasing certain stories, not hearing the voices of others. And I think there's a real, I think the grandness of the moment is actually that it's no longer sustainable. I think the rage and the discomfort and the agitation and the pushback, it's a recognition that we are far from where we need to be, but I think there are more and more people who are not willing to tolerate it. That authenticity just doesn't rest in one voice or one kind of person, what race, what the ethnicity, what gender. And so I always keep that image with me close at heart, because we have to be willing to imagine that we don't also just have to live within other people's boundaries. One of the most striking things about yesterday with Dr. Lassie Ford was that she kept on saying, if I can be helpful. she shouldn't have to be helpful. People should be helping her. And it's because she's playing by the rules she's been taught to play by, of which many of us, particularly women, have been taught to play very much so by certain rules. So maybe it's time to start playing by different rules and teaching people that we might have a birthing story as well as a distinction story, and that there might be stories about also Jews who didn't immigrate from Eastern Europe, but who were born in America and brought to America also as slaves. And the many, many other versions of what stories need to be told in order for everyone to be honored and dignified, and that no one shall be afraid. Because we're living in a culture of fear where people are afraid to be who they are and afraid to tell their experiences because they're going to be lambasted, like what's happened this week. So my invitation to us is that we try to be that where we are, in the spaces that we live, in the spaces that we breathe, to try to make sure we're holding ourselves accountable to the things we're mad about in Washington. And that we fight tooth and nail to not let this country be what it is right now, which is undignified, unequal, fearful, and doesn't have much of imagination. And maybe we can birth something new. And I deeply believe that that is our role as people of faith, is to believe that it's possible to birth something new. There's always a chance to birth something new. We just have to imagine that there's another story to tell. So I invite us to turn now to Shalom Aleichem, which is on page 72.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharem, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem,
Malachei Hasharem, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharem,
Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Bohem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nidei Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nidei Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Seichem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech
Shabbat Shalom, Moedim Nesimcha. We're not going to agree people, come to the sukkah.
And those of you who are staying for the dinner, please stay here for a little bit longer, maybe about 10-15 minutes. We'll go together.